Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, my name is Sinta. I'm from PBI 4. Today, I will explain my proposal, chapter 1 until chapter 3. Okay, the first chapter 1 is background. So, according to many experts, motivations is the terms most often used to describe a person's success or failure, especially regarding education. Triantal 2009 states that education is a form of dynamic human culture. Therefore, change or developments in education are things that should be in line with change in the culture of life. So education is divided into two, namely formal and informal educations. Informal education is the family environment and community environment, while the school environment is called formal educations. So, from this title, the researchers will discuss efforts to increase student motivations in the school environment. School, which is the formal sector, begins with elementary school. The talking about the formal environment is definitely related to the teacher. The teacher roles is very important in the success of students. Learning is a process of efforts made by someone to get a new behavioral change. This change can occur with a strong efforts and determinations. Learning anything requires encouragement in the forms of motivations. So it is in learning English. So far, many students have found it is difficult to read and understand English vocabulary. In addition, some students are able to speak English, but they lack self-confidence. Based on the background above, the researchers conclude there are several things that cause students to have difficulty understanding English. The first is the lack of student motivations toward learning English. The second is the learning English use are less varied. And the third is that students have difficulty reading English. The fourth is that students have difficulty understanding English vocabulary. And the last is that students feel less confidence for the abilities have. To overcome this, student motivations in learning English need to be built and developed. One way to build and develop students' learning motivations is to change the learning methods with the use of proper and fun media. Okay, next, research problems. So, based on the backgrounds of the research described above, there are some problems as follow. The first, how is student motivations of students class 7 at MTS Al Hidayah Moratelang? And the second, how to apply proper method in learning English of students class 7 at MTS Al Hidayah. And the last Thus, the use of proper media increase students' motivation to learn English of student class 7-8 MTS Al Hidayah Muara Telang. Okay, next research objective. So, based on the problem research about, the purpose of the research are the first, to identify student motivations of student class 7 at MTS Al Hidayah Muara Telang. And the second, to find out the applications of proper media in learning English of student class 7 at MTS Al Hidayah Muara Telang. And the third, to improve student motivations to learn English of students class 7 at MTS Al Hidayah Muara Telang. Okay, next, research significance. So, research results are usable theoretically and practically. Okay, the first benefit theoretically. So, the results of this research are in to give solutions and find the right media in learning English. In addition, the benefits of this study are as the advice for English language education teacher to be taken into considerations in motivating students. The results of this study can help teachers generate new knowledge and can improve the quality of learning in the short terms. Okay. The second, practically, benefit practically for teacher. Teacher can apply proper learning media in English subject to help the teaching and learning process. And for students, by using the proper media, it can make it easier for students to follow the English learning process so that they can carry out active learning activities in class. And the last, for other researchers, the result of this research to be used as a reference with the same research object. Okay, next, chapter 2, literature review. The first, motivation. So, according to Clayton's Aldelfer in Haji Nasar 2004, learning motivations is the tendency of students to carry out learning activities that are encouraged to achieve the best possible learning outcomes. Students can do the learning process as good as possible if the media and methods used are not boring or varied. So, media is a technique used to make communications more effective between teacher and students in the education and learning process at school to make it more effective and efficient so that the learning material is more quickly accepted by students in English subject. Okay, next, the benefits of media in the learning process. The first, in the learning process becomes more interesting. The learning process becomes more interactive, and the last, improve the quality of students' learning outcomes. And learning motivation strategy. Okay, the first, generating interest in learning. So to generate students' interest is very important, and because it shows that the knowledge learned is very beneficial to students. Okay, next, encourage curiosity. Skilled teacher will be able to use method to arouse and maintain students' curiosity in learning activities. Okay, the last, using a variety of at, attractive presentations methods. Motivations to learn something can be increased through the use of interesting learning material and also the use of a variety of presentations methods. Next, the elements that affect learning motivations. The first, the ideals or aspirations of students. Motivations come when someone has a desire from childhood. The success in accepting this desire fosters willingness to be active and earnest in learning. Even later on in life goals regarding emancipation of independence. And the second, student ability. Ability will strengthen children's motivations to carry out learning activities. Okay, next, students' environmental conditions. The environment is an important factor for students. The student environment is in the forms of natural conditions, the environment in which they live, feel relationships, and community life. A good environment can foster enthusiasm and motivations to learn. Okay, the last, the teacher effort to increase student motivations. So the teacher is a professional educator. Teachers are role models for students. Participants and role models in choosing good behavior are effort to teach and motivate students. Okay, and the last, research method. This research uses classroom actions research, which is research that is directed at solving problems or improvements with the aims of improving teacher performance and increasing student motivations, especially in English. This research was conducted by asking a teacher for help. Okay, next, chapter 3, methodology. The first, research designs. One of the most important parts in research activities is about the methods used to get answer to a research, or what is often called the research method. This study will use qualitative methods. Qualitative research is research that is used to examine the conditions of natural objects, where the researcher is the key instrument. The objectives of qualitative research, according to Criantono, is to explain a phenomenon in depth by means of collecting data as deep as possible, which show the importance of depth and details of the data being studied. So, this study will aim to find difficulties in learning English and will increase the motivations to learn English for students who study in remote areas. Furthermore, this research will be observed on the students of MTS Al Hidayah to obtain information and identify problems, namely by means of observations and interview. Okay, next, brief descriptions of the research locations. Researchers will conduct research at MTS Al Hidayah Morateliang. This place is located in Morateliang Village, Sumber Marga Telang District, Banyuasin Regency. The location of the school is easily accessible from all directions. MTS Al Hidayah is the best school in Morateliang Village. The school strongly emphasizes religious values such as Muhadoro and Yasinan every day and others. The number of students at MTS Al Hidayah is 135, consisting of the number of students at MTS Al Hidayah Morateliang is 235, consisting of 112 boys and 123 girls. Okay, next, research subjects. So, research subjects are those who are employed in the research. Mickey and Gus, 2005, state that the characteristic of the participants depended on the type of learning of the students themselves. Class 7 student consists of two classrooms, namely A and B, but in this study, the researchers only chose room A. So the research subject was English teacher and 35 students in class A7 MTS Al Hidayah Morateliang. Okay, next, data collections instruments. Arikunto 2019 state the research instruments are tools or facilities used by researchers in collecting data to make it easier and the research to be better, more accurate, complete, and systematic, so that they are easier to process, such as classroom observations and interview. Okay, the first observations. Observations method is a way to collect data by observing the research object or events. According to Suharismi Arikunto, observation is an activity to pay attention to an object by using all the senses. So observing can be done through see, smell, hearing, touch, and taste. Can be interpreted as direct observations. Okay, next, interview. So an interview is a conversation with a specific purpose. The conversation was carried out by two parties, namely the interviewer who asks and the interviewee who gave the answer to the questions. In this study, the researchers conducted an interview with the first headmaster. So, researchers will conduct interview with the principal with the aim of knowing the history of the school and how the facilities and infrastructure at the MTS Al Hidayah Morateliang School. Okay, the second, English teacher. Researchers will conduct interview with English teacher to find out how the teaching and learning process of MTS Al Hidayah students, how the teacher plays a role in managing the class to increase students' learning motivations, and to find out how the behavior of students during the learning process takes place. Okay, the last, students of MTS Al Hidayah Moratlan. So, researchers will conduct interview with MTS Al Hidayah students to find out what students' responses to learning English, to find out what difficulties students face when learning English, whether using the right method can help students increase motivations to learn English. Okay, data analysis. In order for the data collected to have meaning, it is necessary to process the data analysis in a certain way. According to Bogdan and Beacon, data analysis is the process of systematically sourcing for and organizing interview, field notes, and other material that have been collected by researchers. Furthermore, the collected data was analyzed using the Mills and Huberman model, namely data reductions, data presentations, and driving conclusions. Okay, the first, data reductions. Reducing data means summarizing, choosing the main things, focusing on important things that are meaningful, making it easier to draw conclusions. Data reductions in this study will focus on the research of interview with teacher and students. And second, data presentations. The presentations of data that is often used in qualitative data is in the forms of a narrative. Data presentations are in the forms of a collection of information that is systematically arranged in easy to understand. Okay, and the last, drawing conclusions. Drawing conclusions is the final stage in data analysis, which is carried out to see the results of data reductions while still referring to the formulations of the problems in the terms of the objective to be achieved. The data that has been compiled is compared with one another to draw conclusions as answer to exciting problems. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.